Welcome back to another training session of the TAE certification series. In today's session, we will continue with section 6.1. Let's start with the suitability criteria. Prior to commencing an automated testing effort, one needs to consider the applicability and viability of creating automated versus manual test. So before starting automated testing, it's important to assess whether automated or manual testing is more suitable and practical for the specific testing requirements. The suitability criteria may include, but are not limited to, frequency of use, complexity to automate, compatibility of tool support, maturity of test process, suitability of automation for the stage of the software product life cycle, sustainability of the automated environment, controllability of the SUT. So we will discuss all of these in detail in the further slides. Frequency of use. Testing frequency. How often a test needs to be run is one consideration as to the viability of whether or not to automate. If a test needs to be performed frequently, it's a good candidate for automation. On the other hand, tests that are rarely performed may not be suitable for automation, as the time and effort it takes to set up the automated testing might not be worth it. So testing frequency is all about how often you do the testing, and it influences the decision of whether to use automation or manual methods for testing. Next, we have regular testing cycles. Tests that are run more regularly as a part of a major or minor release cycle are better candidates for automation as they will be used frequently. As a general rule, the greater the number of application releases and therefore corresponding test cycles, the greater the benefit of automated testing. Okay, think of a social media app like Facebook. You use it daily and they update it regularly with new features. Automated testing acts like an automatic checker to ensure posting, photo uploads, and interactions still work after each update. Since these updates are very frequent, automated tests become more and more valuable because you are using them very frequently. It's like having a built-in system to guarantee that your app remains user-friendly. The next point is benefits of regression testing. As functional tests become automated, they can be used in subsequent releases as a part of regression testing. Automated tests used in regression testing will provide high return on investment (ROI) and risk mitigation for the existing code base. Okay, so let's consider that you have a monthly updated mobile app. Automated tests act like speedy, reliable checkers. You set them up for once and use them for each update. This saves you time and money, which is the high return on investment. Plus, it also lowers the risk of introducing new issues like a safety net for your application. And the last point is handling infrequent tests. If a test script is run once a year and the SUT changes within the year, it may not be feasible or efficient to create an automated test. The time it might take to adapt the test on a yearly basis to conform to the SUT might be best done manually. Okay, so let's say that you have a yearly event where you sell tickets online. You only need to test the ticket selling process once a year. If the ticketing system changes during the year, automating the test might be too much effort. It's like building a complex machine for a one-day task, and doing it manually might be quicker and simpler. Complexity to automate. In the cases where a complex system needs to be tested, there may be a tremendous benefit from automation to spare the manual tester the difficult task of having to repeat complex steps which are tedious, time-consuming, and error-prone to execute. Let's say that you have to test a huge complex machine with many parts. Now, doing this manually would mean going through countless steps over and over again, which can be very boring and error-prone. But if you use automation, you can create a program or set of tools to handle all of these steps automatically. It not only saves time but also reduces the chances of making mistakes. So in complex situations, automation is a real time saver and helps avoid errors. However, certain test scripts may be difficult or not cost-effective to automate. There is a range of factors that might affect this, including the first factor is an SUT that is not compatible with existing available automated test solutions. Okay, so if a particular application is not compatible with the automated testing tools available, it can be challenging to create and execute automated tests effectively. This lack of compatibility can stem from multiple reasons. It can be the application design, it can be its technology stack, or how it handles data and interactions. When compatibility is an issue, it may require significant effort to adapt the application or the testing tools, which makes automation less practical or even infeasible for certain situations. In such cases, manual testing might be the more suitable approach. The next factor is the requirement to produce substantial program code and develop calls to APIs in order to automate. Sometimes automating a test means writing a lot of code. It's like giving detailed instructions to a machine. Also, if the test needs to talk to other software, you might have to build connections called APIs so it can communicate effectively. It's kind of like teaching your automated system to speak the right language to work with the other programs. The next factor is the multiplicity of systems that need to be addressed as part of a test execution. So let's first understand what is meant by the multiplicity of systems. Okay, so this refers to dealing with the complexity of testing software or applications that comprise of multiple interconnected components and external dependencies. The next factor is the interaction with external interfaces and/or proprietary systems. Automated testing may involve interactions with external or proprietary software components. Challenges in this context can include multiple things. It can be that ensuring that automated scripts effectively communicate with these external systems. It can also be that the adapting to changes in external interfaces or proprietary systems, which may require updates to automation scripts. Then we have some aspects of usability testing. Now, usability testing focuses on evaluating the user friendliness of the software, and automation challenges arise from multiple reasons. One can be that usability testing is often about personal opinions, which are hard to automate because they need human judgment. Then the next one can be the usability test involves lots of different ways people use things. So it's tricky to capture all scenarios in automation scripts. And the last one is the amount of time needed to test the automation scripts, etc. Automated testing, while efficient in the long run, it can be very time consuming due to multiple reasons. It can be due to the initial setup, because the developing and configuring automation scripts initially requires an investment of both time and resources. Then another reason can be the ongoing maintenance. So automation scripts need continuous maintenance to adapt to changes in the software, which can consume additional time and effort. To summarize, these factors collectively highlight the complexity of automated testing in various scenarios. They emphasize the need for careful planning expertise and resources to address these challenges and ensure effective and efficient automated testing processes. Next, we have compatibility and tool support. Okay, so to understand this point, we will go through an example. So the example is that let's consider you work for an organization that creates mobile apps. You have a team of testers responsible for ensuring the apps work properly on different types of smartphone and tablets. So now we will go through each point in this section, and then we will also see that how it works using our example. Okay, so the first one is there is a wide range of development platforms used to create applications. Okay, so let's say your organization develops apps for both Android and iOS platforms. Then the next point is the challenge to the tester is to know what available test tools exist, if any, to support any given platform and to what extent the platform is supported. Okay, so if we apply this point to our example, then it can be that your testers need to find testing tools that can help them test these apps on both Android and iOS devices. Then we have organizations use a variety of testing tools, including those from commercial vendors, open source, and in-house developed. So your company uses a mix of testing tools. Some are paid tools from established companies, while others are open source tools that your team found online. So you also have some testing tools that your in-house developers created to address specific needs. Okay, continuing with the next point in the compatibility and tool support. Each organization will have different needs and resources to support test tools. And now if we see in the context of our example, it means that your testing needs may vary for different apps and projects, and your budget and resources also differ from one project to other. Then we have commercial vendors typically provide for paid support, and in the case of the market leaders, usually have an ecosystem of experts who can assist with test tool implementation. So for some critical projects, you decide to invest in paid testing tools from a reputable company. These vendors offer paid support, and their experts help your team set up and use the tools effectively. Open source tools may offer support such as an online forum which users can get information and post questions. For smaller projects with tighter budgets, your testers turn to open source testing tools. They use online forums and communities to seek information and answers to their questions. Okay, continuing with the compatibility and tool support. The next point is in-house developed test tools rely on existing staff to provide support. Okay, so now remember that the example which we are still doing. One day you decide to automate the testing process for a new application. However, you don't realize that the testing tool you have chosen does not work well with the latest version of Android. This lack of compatibility leads to testing failures and delays. Embarking on a project of test automation without fully understanding the level of compatibility between test tools and the SUT can have disastrous results. So to improve efficiency, let's say you start a test automation project for the new app, but due to compatibility issues, you encounter major setbacks causing delays and potentially impacting the app's release. Even if most of the tests for the SUT can be automated, there might be the situation where the most critical tests cannot. Some tests are absolutely crucial for ensuring the app security or functionality, but because of compatibility problems, you can't fully automate them. This means you still need manual testing for these critical aspects of the. Next, we have maturity of test process. In order to effectively implement automation within a test process, that process must be structured, disciplined, and repeatable. Automation brings an entire development process into the existing testing process, which requires managing the automation code and related components. Okay, now to understand it better, let's consider an example of a well-organized kitchen. Think of the maturity of test process like a well-organized kitchen. So let's say you are a chef preparing a signature dish in your kitchen. So now you have a recipe which is actually a set of precise steps to follow, and you do it the same way every time. So this is your structured and repeatable process. Now, if you decide to introduce a new kitchen gadget like a high-tech blender into the cooking process, that's similar to introducing automation to your testing process. It's a tool that can make your work more efficient, but it needs to be managed. So for example, if you are making a smoothie, you have to use the blender correctly and at the right stage of the recipe. If you blend too early or too late, then your smoothie won't turn out as expected. Similarly, when you automate testing, you are introducing a new tool, which is the automation code, into your testing process. So you need to manage it just like that blender. It has to be used at the right stages of testing, and the code needs to be well organized and disciplined. If not, then your testing may not be effective. So the majority of this process means having a structured and disciplined testing process, just like following a recipe, and effectively managing the automation code as a valuable tool, much like that high-tech blender in your kitchen. When done right, it leads to efficient and reliable testing. We will end our today's session over here and continue section 6.1 in the next session. Till then, take care.